happy to be here. And yeah, we have some really great series casting here. This tournament is really starting to heat up. We're in the round of 32 now, and there's just so many extremely talented players here.
Yeah, for sure. And here we go with the North Spawn Mitoe in the teal. And he's going to be playing as the British. Down to the south in the blue, it's the only Baus. And he's playing in the blue as the British as well. So it's blue and just lighter blue. They really like the mirror here. They were contemplating doing a Russian mirror, then a Dutch mirror. And now it's a British mirror and a color mirror, if they could.
Yeah. So it's interesting to see. In the previous series, you saw Haza move his explorer away from all the llamas and go for the treasures. But this game, both players are going for the llamas here.
Yeah, it looks like Baus will grab the first one, getting that in before Mitoe could get the control. And Mitoe now going to sort of chase this down and see if he can catch one of his own. He will, getting the llama there on the right. But I think this favors Hazard a little bit, Mitoe a little bit more, if anything. If he can grab these 4, then it should end up being about 4 to Mitoe. And actually, no, Baus still has 2 to grab. So it looks like it should be 4 apiece.
It's quite interesting. If you turn on the Fog of War or just, look at the path that the explorers took, like not only are they mirrored with civilizations, but their scouting pattern was exactly the same.
Yeah.
And it's kind
everything.
of unique, Like they sent their explorers to the middle of that spot and then decided to make their way down.
Yeah. And I think there's a good reason for that, to be honest. I think that's because if you can pick up a llama on your opponent's side and then work your way back, you're going to be able to secure more overall. But both of them had the same idea. They end up both securing 4. And in fact, Mitoe is actually missing one right now, but he should be able to secure the one in the north. But meanwhile, yeah, they'll start turning their attention towards treasuring a little bit, perhaps, with Mitoe going for the 120 XP treasure, while the only Baus picks up the 70 food.
Yeah, both really nice treasures. A lot of times, as soon as you find one, you just want to go for it, try to get it before your opponent can. So, obviously the XP treasure will help you get your shipments moving a bit quicker. Meanwhile, the food treasure will allow you to get up to H2 a little bit quicker and just get things moving a little bit quicker.
Yeah, this isn't Deccan. There's no Virginia company here for either player in their decks. So Mitoe with that LXP will just ship the 3 villagers, no doubt. But let me just keep updating the overlay here so we can see what's actually being researched and what shipments have been sent. Currently being researched, both of them aging up now with the governor, and both sending the 3 villagers, of course, to start things off. It's a mirror down to the nail right here. Both with the same shipments, both with the same age up. I'm wondering at what point things are going to change.
Yeah, definitely. And I just noticed, can you fix the score? New series?
Oh, you're right. Yeah, my bad. Apologies for that. There we go. That was the last score, of course, from last game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think every caster always just forget. It's hard to remember to update the score.
Sorry, I'm laughing here because they're both sending the villager to chop the same tree in the middle of the map. They're both building a manor house at the same point in the middle of the map. Could this be any more mirrored if they tried?
Yeah, just straight copy. Both at 30 pop. Yeah, I mean, same population. Yeah.
Okay. All right, then.
Ooh, looks like the only Baus is moving the villager forward here. He's going to try to steal this 80 wood treasure. This is a pretty nice treasure.
Yeah, he wants this.
Pulling the villager away. He has his explorer, so we're going to have a bit of a treasure contention here. Going for a sharpshoot. Sharpshoot off, and I think the only Baus
he's got it. He's got it.
Yeah, very nice.
80 wood. It's a pretty big treasure, right? I mean, wood is the slowest gathering resource, and that's the only wood treasure I think they picked up so far this game. Meanwhile, both players up to the Colonial Age, the outpost wagon, of course, coming out right now as well. And we'll see probably both of them sending the outposts and building their barracks pretty far forward here. But Mitoe seems to be one step behind in this. Mitoe seems to be one step ahead in this. His barracks coming up quite far forward, and he'll have that up in just a second. But just behind here, we've got the barracks and outpost from Only Baus as well.
Yeah, quite interesting to note is that the Only Baus does not have a market at all, and even Mitoe built his market pretty late here. So usually as soon as the British start advancing to Sioux, they throw down the market, get gang salt, increase your gather rate for wood. But both players holding off on the market, as a lot of times it can just be like who gets the most muskets out sooner and who can just get map control and take down that tower or take down the barracks. So holding off
Right.
on some of those upgrades.
Yeah, and one of those things that's going to help with the musket production is going to be those hunting dogs, which at the moment the only boss hasn't actually got. So Mito has got hunting dogs now. Those villagers going to be gathering food a little bit faster, helping to get those musket production going. And meanwhile, only boss actually sending his muskets home. Maybe he wants to try and pick the explorer here, but he's going to be found out. The 700 wood, both of them sent in as their second shipment, will be scouted there by Mito.
Yeah, the only boss is throwing down a second barracks, and yeah, it just feels so strange. No market for bricks. He still does not have a market. Um,
Mito doesn't have a market either. Oh no, he does. Sorry, on the right side. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. We'll see how long the only boss sticks with this. No market British play. I wonder if
Hmm.
he. I mean, he may have forgotten about it, but I mean,
How
most
could
likely
you
not.
forget
But
about the market, though? I
yeah,
mean, you want the hunting dogs
right,
and steel traps like most games, and you can already
right.
see Mito has steel traps now.
Right. The scary thing is though, sometimes when you do like a different opening, or you add your market in later, like maybe he purposely did not build a market. But as the game progresses, it can be easy to like realize, oh, like I didn't get my market upgrades earlier, like I don't have a market. So maybe going
Hmm.
later in this game, he'll kind of forget to throw on that market. Surely, okay, now he does have a market. So, I mean,
Okay.
that's how to display.
Yeah, hunting dogs being researched now, but it is considerably later than Mito, and we should expect that Mito will have gathered more resources at this point in the game. But only boss actually going for like this kind of raid strat, sending the muskets in, trying to find some villagers, but he's not getting anything. These villagers are close enough to the TC, and he's essentially throwing away these 5 muskets for free at this point. Just doing a little bit of chip damage onto the vills, forcing a few to go idle, but really not achieving a whole lot with those muskets at this point.
Yeah, I mean that is true, but at the same time, he did actually idle quite a few villagers. And there are a lot, not like 3 villagers that are really low HP. So potentially he'll send, another small musket raid and try to keep an eye on, which villagers are low HP and potentially pick them off.
Yeah,
But
that's a
yeah,
pretty
I mean,
smart play. I like that, to be honest.
yeah, like you're right. At the same time, he did just lose 5 muskets for, kind of nothing. I mean, yeah, he did cause a lot of idle time and resource loss.
Yeah. So meanwhile, we've got the second barracks coming down for Mito now as well, and we saw that second barracks from Only Boss a lot earlier on, and he's also sending the 5 vills after the 600 wood. So a slight change there in shipments sent, but it really just the ordering. They both sent the same amount of wood and villagers in total at this point in the game. It looks like Mito a little bit ahead on villagers by 1, but look. Only boss going with 5 muskets once again, being scouted though by the manor house, and Mito should get those villagers away to safety before they can be picked off there by the muskets. But interesting, why do you think Mito is grabbing that coin mine? I mean, there's one right next to his TC. Is it very sensible to actually have the villagers there in the first place?
Yeah, that definitely is a bit strange. He may have, he built some of these manors pretty far out the line of sight. Maybe those were the villagers that built the manors,
Right.
and then again send them all the way back home. Um, but yeah, now he has brought them back home, which is I think definitely some safer move.
Yeah, and to be honest, I've got to say, I do like the way that the Only Boss is playing this. I
Yeah,
mean, this is a playstyle that
he's
appeals
pushing
to
on the
me.
tower here. Not to cut you off, but the only boss is pushing on Mito's tower right now, in the
Yeah,
middle of
he
the map.
nearly gets it as well, but he's got to push back a little bit there. But yeah, I do like the playstyle, like just trying to raid a little bit as well. This is sort of thing I would do, but it's something that I feel you don't see too much in Age 3. I feel like players kind of like to keep their armies in one big mass.
Yeah, that's very true. With there's snare in this game, so
Hmm.
yeah, sometimes it can be very nice, obviously, when you can separate your army and go for these raids. But yeah, I do see that perspective from an AoE2 player.
Yeah, but at the moment, it's got to favor Mito in the long run because that raiding attempt from the only boss hasn't really achieved much, and he's down 11 muskets now. And Mito hasn't lost a single musket. He's only lost an outpost, and I think he can almost, be pretty happy with that trade.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, of course, it's nice to try to get in raids, but you also have to consider, your opponent has all these houses built really far out, so he's got so much line of sight. He's gonna have so much time to react to these raids. He has lots of muskets in himself, so he'll be able to like cut your muskets off. Um, yeah, so obviously sometimes it's counterproductive to attempt to raid. Here we go. Mito is moving in with his muskets here.
Yeah, now we do have the outpost here, but Mito has got the bigger mass. If we look at military units count, we see 46 versus 36 muskets here. It's a 10 musket advantage for the only boss, and interestingly, that's the 10 muskets that only boss lost trying to get those raids onto Mito unsuccessfully. Maybe now he's going to be paying the price, but Mito losing a few muskets here, sort of not able to push in very cleanly because of this forest, and obviously with the defender's advantage that only boss has, Mito's not confident enough, it seems, to really just go for it just yet. But he might go for another poke. Maybe he can take this barracks down, perhaps.
Yeah, I'm just seeing a good old musket war here. So we do have musket attack and HP coming in for Mito, and just the musket attack is in for. Here we go. The engagement is starting. So Mito is up in upgrade here with his muskets and just the superior mass.
Yeah, this should be a clean victory for Mito here. But then there are muskets popping out of the barracks.
Yeah, Mito also popping out 10 units, but his units, of course, have to walk into the fight.
Yeah, this has got to be going in favor of Mito here. That extra HP, obviously 172. Sorry, what was it? It's the hit. It is the hit points upgrade, but they both have the same hit. Oh, they both have the same upgrade now. He literally just got it.
Yeah, as you were talking, it just came in. So yeah, that's unfortunate. He didn't have that HP upgrade for that fight, and yeah, it came a bit later.
Yeah, and I guess in a mirror war at this point, you're both equal on economy, but militarily you're behind by 20 units. This is just going to start getting out of control. Mito should have a very clear path to victory here, provided he doesn't make any serious mistakes, since they're both sort of equal in eco.
Yeah, it's gonna be tough. Just losing 2 barracks, and yeah, definitely not looking good for the only boss. He's rebuilding 2 more barracks, but they're also pretty forward. And yeah, I mean his military mass is just half of Mito, so trying to pick off units as Mito is sieging down the tower. Of course, you want to play it out and see if you can make something happen here. Mito is up 20 military population though.
Yep, and he sent 6 muskets as well, so this is going to continue to increase that lead. And obviously, sieging down all these buildings as well, it's a huge cost to have to rebuild 2 barracks. And Mito here can just sort of brute force his way through, catching those muskets. Like I say, they're even on upgrades, and it's just the numbers favoring Mito here. Minutemen coming over, but it will not be enough for the only boss.
Yeah, only boss's last attempt here to hold and try to stay in this game. Even pulling villagers just a tank, just trying to pull out every last thing he can but yeah, it's just not enough.
Well, there you have it. It's 1-0 to Mito after the GG gets called there. The only boss, he tried to hold on, but in the end, I mean, I think it's almost safe to say that they would have been absolutely even if he hadn't have lost those 10 muskets with those raid attempts. I guess it's a risk versus reward thing, right? Like, the risk is there. If it had paid off, he would have been able to sort of get ahead economically, and maybe he would have held that push. But because he didn't kill a single villager, and he just sort of gave those 10 muskets away for free, Mito continued to outmass him for the rest of the game, and it sort of got out of control from there.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm also seeing Garya in the chat. He's asking, did Mito get an XP treasure? Because he was looking at this fight, how Mito was ahead of shipment.
Yeah.
He had his musket XP shipment coming before the fight. And where that most of that XP came from was the only boss. He was, like you said, he was raiding with those 10 muskets, and he lost 10 muskets. So yeah, that was quite a bit of XP for Mito right there. And that
Mito did actually get 160 XP treasures as well. He got one for 120 and one for 40. But I think up until that point, like, they were quite even on the shipment curve. But yeah, just getting that defense upgrade a little bit sooner allowed him to take a big advantage in that fight.
Yeah, definitely. So that is it for game 1 here.
Yep. And don't think there's much to look at in the post game. Obviously, they were really even. I mean, looking at the villager count, for example, it's like neck and neck the whole way. And then military unit count, just sort of favoring Mitoe for the majority of the game after those 10 muskets were lost in the back. But we'll come out of the game now, and we'll take a look at what we've got coming up next. It won't be Florida, because Florida was vetoed, as well as Baja California. It looks like Baja California actually vetoed twice in a row now. Do you think there's a reason for that? Do players not like that map, or is that just coincidence?
It is another map that is very non-standard and just kind of gimmicky. So I agree. I usually like to veto that map too, actually.
Okay.
I don't know. It's just something about it. It's like a large map, and then there's water on two sides. Which a lot of times it can be fun with maps, that does have water and has water on like multiple sides. But it's just a very non-standard map. So I think a lot of players, some players don't like those non-standard maps.
Yeah, so we will see Kamchatka next, I believe, and I've seen this a few times. Obviously, players fighting for those big treasures in the middle at the very start. But in the lobby now, we can see Mitoe has taken French as his first pick, giving the only boss an opportunity to counter-pick, so to speak. But I think counter-picking the French, I've heard it said many times already, it's not that simple.
Yeah, I was gonna bring up that exact point. Yeah, French is a very good, just all-around civ. Very good civ choice to pick when you know that you have to pick your civ first, and your opponent has the opportunity to civ counter you. Yeah, it's a very good choice to go with French because there's not too many hard civ counters that French has.
Yeah, so French is locked in for Mitoe. We'll see what only boss responds with. We're probably expecting to see a standard or sort of a vanilla civ, let's say. But, maybe he's thinking like, maybe I could go for the French as well. But then at the same time, do I want to have another mirror match? I feel like in this kind of situation where you might be outgunned, it might be better to try and get an advantage with something a little bit more surprising. I don't know, maybe something like the Sioux or the Iroquois that could do this like early aggression, for example. I don't know how those specific matchups work out, but I see them played out very differently.
Yeah, I would not expect to see a mirror here. I think the only boss he knows, he has the opportunity to pick his civ when he knows what Mitoe's French, so he has the opportunity to do a little civ counter here. So you always want to take advantage of that and pick the civ that you think is going to be best. Yeah, it wouldn't really make much sense to mirror here.
No. What do you think is good, though? It looks like he's actually going for the Russians, and he's locked that in. So it will be France versus Russia for game 2.
Okay, interesting choice. Russia is a really good civ. I mean, the only thing that on this map there is a lot of hunter and there is a trading post, so that is very nice for Mitoe. He'll be able to put up a trading post pretty safely and have a lot of early hunts, so he won't get like hunt starved super early. Then so, but at the same time, Russia, they can be aggressive and be good in this matchup.
Yeah. So we'll see this game in just a moment. Before we do, thank you, I Will Spank You, for all those gift subs. Gifting a sub out to Hawk Girl, one to Henry the Fortunate, Human One, Crisp. I can't even see it. Crispav, Diaruga, and Second Last Night. That's a lot of gift subs, so very much appreciated, and thank you for the support. We're going to get into Kamchatka next. We'll take a quick look at the civ pools so far, and we'll start this game already. Let's go. Game number 2. Obviously, it's going to be France versus Russia here. Now, we saw the only boss sort of toying with the idea of Russia in game 1. He ended up settling on a Britain mirror, but he's going to go for Russia in game 2. It seems to be a civ which he sort of wanted to play in that first game. Maybe he was thinking he'd better to save it for a better another opponent, another opposing civ.
Yeah, I do believe Russia is one of his main civilizations, so he should be feeling pretty comfortable here. And yeah, he chose to pick Russia versus French here, so he's obviously aware of how this matchup gets played. And I think he's feeling pretty confident with this. But like I said, at the same time, this is a TP map, so that helps French, and there is a lot of fun. So
yeah, so here we go. Mitoe in the teal once again. He'll spawn up to the north of the map as the French. and then down to the southeast in the red, it will be the only boss, and he's playing as the Russians this time around. Also not in blue, so a little bit more contrast between the two players. But you can see already the native scout for Mitoe out in the middle, as well as the explorer from the only boss, looking to see what treasures are around here. We've got 75 food, we've got 50 wood. Looks like he could sharpshoot the wood here and get that. But Mitoe will get away with 2 goats, and I don't see the goats coming in for the only boss, but he does have them. He has got 2 goats as well, so they're even in that regard so far.
Yeah, and we're seeing Mito immediately throw down that trading post, so that's very nice. It was 200 wood start, so that allowed Mito to build a trading post and then just use his villagers to gather wood and build a house. He did build his house. I mean, it's a little bit forward. It's a lot of times when you're playing versus Russia or civs that are rushing you, it's very important to have a very smart building placement as to create
Right.
points and yeah, just try to fend off these rushes. So that's a pretty good location. Maybe a little bit more forward than you'd like because it could potentially get sieged, but it probably won't be the biggest deal.
Yeah, sort of like buildings in the back, just to make sure that your TC is able to fire and you're not sort of giving your opponent free sieging. But it looks like we've got the 3 goats here being intercepted by the only boss. He actually gets them and picks them up, so he's really kind of happy with that. He's also picked up the little monkey thing, Freitag.
Yes.
Big plays from the player in red.
Yeah, it's just a little additional scout there for the only boss. And the only boss did build a market in Age 1. He did just finish getting hunting dogs.
Mm-hmm.
I think this wood start favors the 200. It was 200 wood start for the French. I think it does favor French a bit more. Being able to build a trading post like immediately is just very nice. Your shipments are just going to be rolling in really quickly.
Yeah, it's quite a big chunk, isn't it? It's like almost a quarter or a fifth of a shipment when that trade wagon comes past. But yeah, only boss here does have the hunting dogs. Obviously, at this point, Mitoe does not have the market, so no hunting dogs for him just yet. But he is getting distributivism. I can say that word, and getting his only boss getting distributivism, getting his wood trickle, while Mitoe, of course, sends the 3 couriers. But they did come in a lot sooner, the couriers, working under his TC now to grab all that food so he can start aging up. But meanwhile, more treasuring going on. Mitoe does grab 75 wood, food treasure and a 90 wood treasure, but only boss getting quite a lot more treasure, it seems, actually, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that 90 wood treasure is very nice. Let's see, the only boss is picking up a lot of like smaller
Actually,
treasures.
you're right, yeah.
50 wood.
Mitoe's got to be ahead here.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. 90 wood always, you always feel so good when you can get that treasure.
Yeah.
What is a 80 coin? I believe the only boss did scout this in the corner. He hasn't been. It looks like now he may be going for that. Oh, yeah, no, he just turned his explorer away. Yeah,
Okay.
just so there's that 80 coin there. And we have 2 Russian explorers moving forward in the middle map here, getting ready to throw down that blockhouse.
Yeah, and of course, like, you can sort of control this TP in the middle of the map and sort of take that control. I've seen Russia a few times on this map in this tournament so far, and actually I've been kind of underwhelmed. I don't think I've seen a single Russia win so far on this map. Maybe, just maybe, only boss can do something here. Looks like Mitoe getting his placer mines first. Hunting dogs coming in now. Does that indicate he's going for Cav here?
Not necessarily. I mean, he may be going Cav, but getting the placer mines, I think, is just really good with French. He probably just had more villagers on gold at that point, so maybe he wanted to get placer mines first, rather, and before the hunting dogs. And looking at Mito's building placement, I was talking about that briefly earlier. Market is very well built. It's built right along this gold mine and right along this forest. So like these trees act as like a natural wall right here. So yeah, have some really nice choke points he created for himself.
Yeah, and it's going to just sort of be harder for only boss to get in there, but it will be a stable from Mitoe, and we'll see that coming up in a moment as the blockhouse here from only boss even might start queuing some musk or strellet. I think he wants some scouting info, right? I don't know if you saw the stable there, but do you sort of adapt here in that case? Like, you see the stable, you train musk?
It could be true. I mean, I think we're gonna see some Cossack being shipped from the only boss. And it is most standard for French to open stable, so the only boss is probably expecting to see a stable opening, just without scouting.
Hmm.
Yeah, he does ship the 5 Cossacks now.
And that'll be scouted by the stealth scout there as well. So Mito knows it's coming. He probably expected it, but he's definitely got that little heads up. And you can see the way he's walled. Like you're spot on with that. Like the wall
Yeah,
there, the 2 houses.
right.
It's creating this really nice sort of natural barrier.
Definitely, even dropping a pillar there to just finish off that wall.
Mm.
And I was a little confused at what the only boss was talking about, saying he's a bit low, but Cav do pop out for Midal here for Hussar, forcing the only boss to pull his Cossack back. But the only boss was referring to his blockhouse, which I noticed earlier. I guess Midal was sieging the blockhouse as it was getting built, so the blockhouse was like at half HP only. So the only boss went ahead and repaired his blockhouse.
Yeah, he's actually repaired it now, yeah. But yeah, he's going to come forward with the muskets. He's going to have that musket and Cossack combo here as we see 4 couriers being sent by Mito. Purely economical upgrade or shipments at the moment. Engaging the Hussars now. The couriers coming in as well to give that extra bit of firepower. Minutemen being called as well. That should be more than enough to send only boss away. And should be able to clean up the Cossacks quite comfortably there.
Yeah, I feel like it might have been a slight overreaction from Lytle calling the Minutemen. But at the same time, it does just push the only boss back right away, and it allows the French villagers to get gathering just that much quicker. So, yeah, pretty good call, I suppose. Lytle does still have 2 Hussars to can do some raiding, and we're seeing the only boss with some muskets up here. Ooh, 8 Expos coming in for Lytle.
Yeah, this should be pretty good, right? If he pushes out now into these muskets,
Yeah,
catches them with the Hussar.
Yeah,
Ouch.
snaring them with the Hussar, and here we go, the Expos and Minutemen getting onto these muskets, and these muskets are just going to melt.
Yeah, that's it. They're done. More muskets coming in. Not even at muskets. I learned from Dejection. They're called ruskets.
Oh, ruskets, yeah.
But they're not great.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah, there's other muskets turning around, saying just leaving their friends, not trying to get picked off there.
Yeah, Mito now is going to push out though, and with the second blockhouse coming down, does he switch now into Strelets or something? Like, does he change his approach, or does he stick with muskets?
Yeah, I mean that was huge. Losing those units, very very rough for the Russian play right there. And as he sees, there's 4 or 5 Hussar on the field, so it's even hard. Like, it'd be nice to mix in some Strelets, but there are 5 Hussars on the map, and
that's true.
able to build. So he's just in a tough position here now, getting snared, forced to fight, and yeah, these muskets are just gonna get cleaned up.
It seems to me like just having these Hussar in here is absolutely huge.
Yeah,
like the fact, like the fact that they're kind of weak against muskets, right? But the fact that they can actually stop them in their tracks and allow those crossbows to get into range and start doing damage seems to be so valuable. And right now, only boss is just getting sort of split up and caught out of position time after time. Half his army goes down in the south, the second half coming down in the north, and now the Cossacks coming in. Not enough to turn the tide of battle because the only boss has already lost too much out here, and these blockhouses just not doing enough damage to really scare Mito too much. He's still comfortable taking the fight underneath them for now.
Yeah, and the only boss just having so many poor trades in this game. He just losing so many units. If you look at like the kill death ratio, I'm sure it's like drastically in Mito's favor. Well, I mean, with that said, Russian units are cheaper and there's you get more of them, but Mito's probably still has the better KD. Just really good trades from Mito.
Yeah, economically though, they're actually pretty close. It's 31 for Mito to 28 for the only boss. So it's not necessarily like over at this point. I mean, consider as well that Mito here sent 4 couriers and 3 couriers, and the Russian player has only sent military shipments alongside his distributivism. They both sent 700 wood. So the only boss, considering all that, like, he's not really that far behind in economy, and he's able to keep this pressure up thanks to those extra shipments he's sending in now. 13 Strelets coming in. He's got a big mass of units, and maybe he can force something to happen here.
Ooh, yeah, he might pick off 2 French villagers here a bit far out, gathering on these hunts. One does go down, the second one is going down also. So nice to pick off there, and just killing the native scout, always nice.
And with that, he's actually ahead now in economy, ahead in military as well. And we'll just see if he can do some damage. Obviously, we talked about the way that Mitoe has constructed his base. It's very smart, and we'll see if he can get in there and find any more villagers. But at the moment, there are some villagers out on the hunt on the left side. He'll see them with the Cossacks, but so is all of Mitoe's army. So he's going to have to take this fight and take it well if he wants to find those villager picks off the back of this.
Yeah, here we go. Big engagement. Hussars are now starting to get onto the army and snare the only boss. Not allowing him to really retreat here. Only 3 Hussars left. The only boss is starting to focus those Hussars down. Strelets are in the back. Villagers even get in this fight. And here we go.
More Hussars coming in, though. That's huge.
Yeah.
Just keeping those Hussars going. I mean, he's throwing a lot of Hussars away, but at the same time, he's picking off so many of those Strelets and muskets from the only boss as well. And, Mitoe able to protect his hunts, able to repel that engagement, and he's doing a blunderbuss right now as well as greatcoats, just to give those couriers a little bit more stats, as you saw them coming into the fight there in that last engagement. But Mitoe, still a little bit behind in economy, but still looking in a very good position overall. They both sent 700 gold, and obviously Mitoe having that extra TP is ahead in the shipment curve as well. So he's also sent the 700 food. Doesn't actually have much food in the bank. He's spending it down on all those Hussars, and meanwhile, only boss adding in some Cossacks. So he's spending his food down as well here.
Yeah, it's quite interesting to see like how close this game is with like the only boss. He had so many like honestly really really bad trades early where he just like threw away his entire army. But he's like still very much in this game, and maybe he has the military unit population lead and the economic population lead. And Mitoe just I don't know. He had so many good pickups, but this Russian army is still just looking scary.
They just keep coming, right? They just keep coming. And I guess he never truly took down that forward, so he's able to keep reinforcing very quickly when he does take a fight. Looks like we'll see that fight happening now. The Cossacks in front immediately getting focused down, the Hussars as well. And once again, the military unit count in favor of the only boss. Obviously, his unit's potentially a little bit weaker here as the villagers from Mitoe come into fight once again. And maybe losing a couple of villagers in this engagement. In fact, they are going to get very, very low. But without the cavalry, the only boss doesn't want to turn and fight just yet. And he's a little bit cautious. Maybe he can pick some of these couriers, though. They're getting very far forward, and they're instantly getting picked off.
Yeah, losing quite a few. I mean, the thing with French, you have these villagers, so it's so nice to be able to pull them into fights. Without these, Mitoe probably would have just lost his entire army and lost the game.
Right.
Mitoe is really starting to lose quite a few now. Mitoe did hit H3.
But at what cost?
Right, obviously you don't want your economy to be too low.
No.
22 now compared to 34, so pretty good engage from the only boss. The only thing, might be seeing cannons on the way.
Yeah.
But yeah,
that's going to turn things pretty quickly, right? If he sends cannons now, only boss might not have much to deal with that at all. I mean, he could try and get some more Cossacks in there. He has got more at home.
Yeah, here we go. Cossack Great coming in, finding a French villager. Ooh, is he going to get on them? Okay, he's now getting on a villager, picking up another one. Some more little engagements here. Let's take a look at some of these other French villas. None of them are too low HP. Yeah, most of them are pretty well by the hunt. Minutemen are still alive.
It's kind of interesting, though, right? Like, he actually sent 3 cuirassiers here instead of sending any Falcons or anything like that. What do you think about that? Do you think the cuirassiers is the best play at this point?
Yeah, that might be the smarter move, because when you have a small military force, Mitoe, he has a decent-sized military, but obviously when you have a small force and you have low eco, it can be difficult to protect those cannons, and they could easily, look how many Cossack there are right now. They could easily get picked off like Cossack or other units if you just don't have enough to support the cannons. And here we go. The Cruisers are now getting onto the only boss's units, and they are going to do pretty well here. Mitoe trying to move the rest of his army in to get some shots here, and meanwhile all the Cossacks are away from the only boss.
He's got to take these cuirassiers out. He's trying to bring his army back to the blockhouse, but Mitoe once again backing up. He's getting himself a little bit of ground, but then backing up. Skirmishes coming through as well.
More Cossacks coming in for raiding. Very good. This is exactly what the only boss should be doing. He needs to keep up the aggression and keep the raiding, and just drag this game out. Don't allow Mitoe to right click on your base. Just force him to pull units away and to defend these raids.
Yeah, absolutely. And it feels to me like Only Boss might be stuck in H2 for a while here. He's got to commit now to that unit production. And Boyar's being sent as well here, so buffing up those Cossacks a little bit more, giving them more villager raiding potential. But wow, Mitoe missed the play there. Those 3 couriers coming over the river and instantly paying the price. 2 of them go down, the other one gets away. And look at this eco, 28 versus 45. Mitoe has got the TP, he is ahead in the shipment curve, he has now got the 2 Falcons, but if he gets caught out here, if he doesn't get a good fight here, those Cossacks can get onto the Falcons, and maybe Only Boss can run away with this game, but the Cossacks engaging at the front lines, they're not onto the Falcons just yet. The Falcons do get a decent shot onto the muskets, and the Falcons now trying to be focused down, but still standing strong at the back, as more Cuirassiers come in.
3 Cossacks coming in from behind, trying to get a flank and get onto the Falcons here. Crusaders trying to get in here with these woods. The Crusaders having some difficulty getting onto the muskets. 1 cannon still alive.
Oh boy, the Falcons though, the Falcons are still up. And at this point, Only Boss has to back away. Still, I mean, if he had got that second Falcon, I feel like that would have gone a lot better. At this point though, struggling for units as the Cuirassiers chase down those remaining Strelets and muskets, and will finish the job as well. Really nicely done by Mitoe. A good fight and good timing with the Falcons too.
It's unfortunate the Only Boss couldn't escape with some of those units. Like, he's so ahead economically, you just don't want to like lose a giant fight. You want to just drag this game out, but fortunately he did, lose his entire military force there. And Mitoe just that pro placement of his Falcons, using the force as walls, as natural barriers, and just making it very difficult to get onto those cannons, and making it to where if the Only Boss wants to get on the cannons, he has to just run his entire army past Mitoe's army and just kind of suicide for the Falcons, and only able to pick off 1 Falcon.
Oh, look at this raid though. Cossacks on the right side. He's going to catch the couriers way out of position. This is going to be absolutely terrible for Mitoe. I mean, he's already behind economically, but his army's a little bit out of position, and he can't save all of those couriers. They're actually fighting right now while he sits there with his muskets and just watches them kind of die.
And the Crusader scares them off.
That's not right.
He's like, come on. You want this?
It's not even got a quarter of its health left, and it's still nah, we're out of here. Man, he's not able to even queue full batches of Cuirassiers right now. He's queuing like 2 and getting 2 out. I think we will see Only Boss replenishing his army pretty quickly and getting back into this. The nice thing he's got is map control, right? Like, he's built these blockhouses all around the map, and his villagers are gathering all this hunt fairly safely, I'd say. I mean, it's only now that these 2 forward blockhouses are coming down, and Mitoe is in a very precarious situation. He needs to lock down Hunt, he needs to lock down Coin, and he's got to go out of his base to do that. Yeah,
Mitoe is definitely on timer here. Like, he has to win this game, really in the next 2 minutes almost. He has to do something. He has to do a lot of damage in a very short time frame here. Potentially finding some villagers here though from the Only Boss. Evening up that economic gap, definitely be one way to start here.
It would be a start. You're absolutely right on that. These 2 villagers do go down, but he's still got a long way to go. 27 versus 49. Wow, well, the Cossacks coming in. They're trying to get the Falcons.
Oh boy. Not happening. Where are you going? You're going the wrong way. Yeah, losing just about all of those Cossacks, obviously. Unfortunate there. But yeah, the Only Boss just goes just to stretch this game out. Let this game go as long as possible. Like, as you can see, the economic difference is just really massive at this point. And the Only Boss is doing a pretty good job of that. He's sending these Cossacks around raiding, just preventing Mitoe from right clicking on his TC.
Yeah, right.
Trying to end it.
Yeah, I'm a bit worried. Once that Falcon goes down, if it goes down, I actually think Only Boss has enough now at this point. Like, with these muskets and Cossacks, I think he could maybe take this fight. He's obviously got to take down that Falcon, but he's got enough muskets here. He could even focus it down with them. Mitoe's unsure if he wants to take this. He's got the villagers here as well, and this could be the end of the game. If Only Boss wins this fight, surely Mitoe is done. The Falcon is still alive, but he's trying to focus it down. There it goes, and now it should be an easy cleanup for the Only Boss, I think, right here.
Yeah, very well played by the Only Boss here. He's going to clean up, and that's going to be it for Mitoe, looks like. I was
Yeah.
trying to survive, but yeah, obviously losing lots of villagers here, and yeah, calculate economic population 17, 15.
Yeah, and it just comes down to the fact that, you know, he's got to get out on the map. He's got to secure that hunt. But when he does, he gets picked off. Only Boss, we saw his attempts in the first game at raiding with the muskets. It didn't work out too well. But this game, raiding with the Cossacks, he actually found quite a few good villager picks. And, you know, Mito's not done just yet. He's still got more cuirassiers in here. He's got skirmishes at the back. So this couldn't, or isn't a terrible fight for him. He should even clean this all up. But... wow, it's actually unbelievable just how bad that Russian army is in the face of these Fortress Age units, right?
Yeah, that's unfortunate. It looks like Mito's timing was off. You know, like 5 Crusaders, if they would have been in that fight, you know, that would have helped massively. But they just, you know, they got trained a little bit too low, a little bit too late, and just weren't able to get in that fight there.
Military units, though, it's amazingly, it's actually favoring Mito right now. And only Boss might have this massive economy, but he needs units if he wants to finish this game. And Mito still has a military lead at this point.
Yeah.
Like, it's only just, but I mean, surely at this point the game has to be over for Mito. But he is making a move over to the left side, and he might find some villagers out here. He'll certainly find the blockhouse.
Yeah, it's pretty hilarious to see Mito military advantage right now, but yeah, as you said, obviously 13 economic population, and not much you can do with that.
It's a ghost town, by the way. You look at his base, there's nothing there.
Yeah, really. There's nobody's home. Just these like few French villagers. Mama thinking, guys thinking based on. Yeah, now the only boss even switching to a mill.
Wow, yeah.
On some walls here.
I mean, at what point do you age up if you're only boss? I mean, it's such a lot of resources to invest, right? And you risk sort of leaving yourself exposed to this Fortress Age army if you go up and you don't have enough eco to protect.
Yeah.
Military to protect yourself.
Right, exactly. And Russia is just so good in these like late H2. Just their H2 play is just so good, and you know he knows he picked off lots of villagers and. Yeah, just keeping up the aggression is really, you know, it's just the best way to go.
Yeah, it's actually really impressive. I mean, 58 eco, and he's still sort of hanging in there. Mito is still hanging on by a thread. Look at this sort of walling here. He's like, I'm going to protect these couriers and get these elk at all costs. Yeah. But that does open up the right side, perhaps. Then again, that's like his whole economy right there. That's all he has. His whole economy is in the middle of the map. And Mito is saying in the chat I should delete that screenshot. I did screenshot Mito saying before this game, I'm hoping for a quick 3-0 here.
That's funny. So, yeah, honestly, looking at this game, like, me personally, I've always felt that Russia has been a very underestimated civ. And for a long time, like, people used to think Russia was really bad, but then kind of recently, and not super recently, people have come around more to realize that Russia is actually pretty strong. And I mean, just looking at this game, like Mito honestly played this like extremely well. Like he picked off the only boss's units like early on really well. He had like a bunch of very, very good trades early on, and
you're right, yeah,
just not enough. Like I don't know, honestly.
They just keep coming back, don't they? It's like endless, and it's almost like really very true to history. If you know much about like Russian history, like they just keep coming, and it's kind of the same here. Only boss now though is exposed on the left side. There's a lot of villagers here on the mill and on the coin mine, but I think only boss can respond to that quite quickly here as well. He's got enough Cossacks. He's got a lot of Cossacks and quite a few muskets to back this up. Mito though actually blocks him. He just needs to kill the wall, but that's on 1 HP, so he can go through. And oh damn, he's trapped.
I walled him in.
It's a trap.
Nice.
He just sent Team Cavalry Scouts. What does that do?
Team Cavalry Scouts for Russia. You know,
are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Sorry to interrupt you. I know I just asked you a question, but he's just walled himself in to try and buy himself time to get out the back.
It's awesome.
What is this? Mito, you genius. But I don't think it's enough. Those muskets are coming in. And Mito is so sandwiched right now. That's got to be a cleanup.
The Crusader is just not able to join the fight here.
They're on the wrong side of the wall. And okay, Russia OP.
I've been saying it. I've been saying that for years. No, but the only boss, obviously, he did play really well this game, or he did play well and did what he had to do. But honestly, I mean, looking back, like Milo had just so many good trades early on.
Mm.
Um, and I don't know. I think it might just be a tough matchup, honestly. Like with those great trades early, and it's
Yeah.
just not being enough. Like you said, those Russia units, they just never stop coming.
Yeah,
It's
you
just
make a really good point there. Like the pressure is onto Mitoe the whole game, right? And it's more likely that Mitoe is going to make a mistake or leave a couple of villagers exposed for only boss to catch. And like you say, he defended so well at the start of the game, but as soon as he pushed out again, the Russian force replenished. He was able to push him back, and I don't think Mitoe ever reached the point where he was confident enough to take a solid fight. We did see that one fight with the two Falcons. That went very well for Mitoe, but once again he continued to bounce back, and only boss managed to get back on top. Really funny ending to the game as well. I don't know what's going on now. Like Robo's just coming over here, bringing Henry VIII to sit behind me for some reason. But I'm lonely. Well, I'm not lonely anymore. Thanks for that. But yeah, so just if you could answer my question, I asked what Team Cavalry Scouts did. That would be cool. If we could go back to that.
Oh yeah, yeah. So let's see. Pull up his deck. So Team Cavalry Scouts. It is obviously a team card, so it adds 4 line of sight to all cavalry, 10% HP to all cavalry, and then it also has a light infantry. Adds 10% HP and 4 line of sight to light infantry. So yeah,
Okay.
it's a really good Russian card.
Very
Yeah,
good if you're going for Cossacks and Strelets, right?
right, exactly. Mhm.
Yeah, that's very nice. Okay, cool. So that was game 2. That was actually a really awesome game. I really enjoyed that. It was quite a long one actually as well, and it's just so interesting how that played out. We're going to come out now though, and we're going to look at the third match. It's a little bit closer than Mitoe perhaps expected. Maybe he wasn't prepared for a 5-game series here, but I think going into game 3, which will be on Deccan, by the way. He's going to be coming in with a game plan for sure.
Yeah, and the only boss you gotta feel so taking a game off of Mito. I mean, anybody in the world that can take a game off of Mito, you gotta feel good after that. Mito's just been a very good player for so long. Just one of the top guys, very impressive player. So always feeling good when you can take a game from him.
Yeah, that's awesome, and I'm sure only Boss is going to be feeling very happy, but that does mean that he has to pick first, which means that Mitoe may have the opportunity to counter pick. Now, do you think that as the tournament goes on and we get to sort of bigger series, do you think that only Boss's Civ pool could be a problem for him? Obviously, the what I've been told by Comet is that he is only kind of recently picking up the expansions, and until now he's mostly played the vanilla civs, which is where he's most comfortable. Do you think as the series get longer and he has to start picking more of those outlier civs that he might struggle?
Yeah, that's an interesting point to bring up. Obviously, as the series do go longer, the players need to have a pretty in-depth civ pool, need to be comfortable with multiple civs. But with that said, there's another really good player that's in this tournament, Yumi. He is really known for. I believe he is pretty good with some of the Asian civs, but if I believe I'm correct with this, but he plays mainly the European civs. Like there's some players. No, there are like 8 European civs, so there are some players that are just like really good with those 8 civs and don't really play much of the expansion civs. And with that, you still have enough civs to play the entire series, obviously.
Okay. That's that's a good point. I mean, there should be enough there, and if you're comfortable with all of them, then your pool is big enough. But do you think it's a disadvantage though? Like I feel like in Age 2 you have to be able to play with every single civ. There's no civ that you wouldn't be able to play at a certain level. In Age 3 it seems like some players have their really preferred matchups, and then there's other matchups or other civs which they'd rather avoid if they can.
Yeah, that's interesting. I would say, like you said, it's not as much like that in AoE3 because the Civ variance is just so much different. Like it's, almost like I don't know, playing like a different game. It's completely different. Playing British and then playing Sioux, they're just so different. The play styles, and with so many civs, I mean, I know there's a lot of civilizations in AoE too, but it just creates so many different matchups, like the possible matchups in the game, and
Right.
each matchup is played different on each map. And with shipping cards, that just adds a whole nother element of like knowledge that you have to get under your belt, and so yeah, there's a lot to that you have to learn, and it can be tough to master, lots of civs. So
Yeah, definitely. Because they play so differently, right? And it's not
yeah.
like they share a common. I mean, yes, there are common units, but common mechanics aren't always the same. A lot of the civs have different playstyles altogether. But it looks like we're going to see the only boss picking up the Sioux. I was informed by Comet that this is a newer civilization that he's added to his pool of civs. So we'll see how he does here as Mitoe goes for the Japanese, a civ which I think he's very familiar with and very fond of. Before we do get into this, though, thank you to Zeely Flower for the gift sub earlier on. Obviously, we're focusing on casting the games today, and we do have that 2 minutes delay, so apologies for getting to that so late. But thank you for the support, very much appreciated. We're going to go into Game 3 in just a moment. Dekken up next, and we've got Japanese for Mitoe, only boss taking the Sioux. And we should get this one started any minute, as soon as only boss is ready to go. Sorry, not Mitoe. Give you anxiety. What do you think about this matchup? Do you think that with Dekken having so much resource to start, with having the potential to get an early TP, do you think it favors the Japanese or the Sioux?
I think it does favor the Japanese. I really like the civ choice from Mito. Like you said, you serve so many resources that you're able to build so many shrines that the Japan eco can just explode. It's kind of similar to Brits, where how they were able to ship Virginia Company in that one game. Obviously with Japan, you can build the shrines, and those shrines generate resources for you, and you can just get a massive economy really early with Japan.
Right, and usually we see Japanese sort of aging with that the building that gives them the extra shrine efficiency. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So we're going in. We're launching it now. We've got game number 3. Mitoe was hoping for a 3-0, but this series is guaranteed to go to 4 games at least, as the score is currently 1-1, with only boss equalizing in game 2 on Kamchatka. Up next, though, we do have Dekken. It's going to be Japanese for Mitoe, Sioux for the only boss, and as Give You Anxiety was just saying, he does think that this could favor the Japanese thanks to that extra resource start and of course the TPs. So spawning over to the west of the map in the teal, it is Mitoe. He's playing as the Japanese, and the only boss over to the east of the map in the red, playing as the Sioux.
Yeah, man, let's get underway with this one. The only boss is obviously he's a really good player, I think, and he's also kind of not an unknown player, but you don't see his gameplay a ton, and he's probably like very underestimated. Even like me, just thinking about him, he's a player like 34. He's a really good player. He's just kind of under the radar there, falls under the radar. But yeah, he can definitely do some damage in this tournament.
Yeah, I mean that's a really good way to put it, right? Like he's one of those guys that you maybe haven't heard too much about, but when it comes to a tournament environment, anything can happen, and those players that you may not have heard so much about might have put in some serious practice. They could have played a lot and sort of come up out of, I don't want to say out of nowhere, but certainly come up and surprised a little bit. I mean, he was seeded, I think, at seed 22, so he was definitely on the radar, but very good to take a game from Mitoe. And we'll see what he can do in game number 3 here, and I'll definitely be interested to see how he can do for the rest of the tournament as well if he does end up losing and going down to the lower bracket.
Yeah, definitely. So let's see. The only boss does open with a trading post. Now moving to explore around. Ooh, might be able to get these 2 water buffaloes.
Yeah, I think he will if he doubles back right now, but there you go. He's got it. And, oh, maybe not. I think the consulate came up, right? And it just kept the line of sight.
And he's also got a lion running around. Nice little treasure convert.
And
Um,
we've actually got Portuguese uh, embassy coming in, I think, there for Mito. Is that normal? Is that what you'd expect?
yeah, that is. That just allows you to get that shrine boom going that much more. It makes shrines cheaper. And I'm sure we'll see, what is the card called? Current? No, is it Heavenly Kami? I'm sure we'll see that ship from Mito to make his
Yeah.
shrine cheaper and more effective.
Yeah, so he's really going for that sort of shrine approach. As you said, he's already got a couple of shrines up. He's got one in the middle of the map there. And he's actually going for his wonder right now, which is going to be the Tosh Toshogu shrine. There you go.
Yeah.
Got there in the end. And meanwhile, we've got the Sioux player, early boss, going up with the chief.
Yeah, so as you see, the only boss is building a couple TPs here. Yeah, it's funny saying TPs and trading posts and TPs. But yeah, so he has three in front of his town center here, just giving him a bit of that economic boost. And yeah, he's gonna be up in H2 pretty soon here. Pretty
Yeah,
quick
and
time.
it is very quick, but I think he's got to do damage, right? Like what's his priority? Is his priority to try and take down shrines, or is it to try and raid? Because at this point, like looking at the recalculated eco unit population, it's like 16 to 9. That's insane for just like 3 minutes of game time. So how does he equalize that? What's his approach to that?
Yeah, exactly. So it's honestly very difficult to raid Japan, like
Mm.
villagers. I mean, if you look at Mito's TC, like all of his villagers are very close to the town center. You know, they're gathering on berries right next to the TC. He can easily pop them in, and none of these villagers like should ever die. You know, they're gathering so close to the
Yeah.
town center. So killing shrines is essentially raiding a Japan player. If you kill the shrines, you know the shrines are generating them resources, so you can think of that as raiding. And it's just easier than killing actual villagers when all the villagers are so close to the town center.
Right.
So we do have a corral down for the only boss. He's not building a market also, so he's gonna try to go a little bit of economy here. So it's tough to say. The only boss may try to get some cav out and start sieging these shrines down. He may go for fast stage 3, but yeah, obviously you don't want that shrine population to get too out of hand, and you don't want to try to outboom the Japan here. So
Yeah. Poor only boss losing his tiger though. The divine strike just knocking it down and off it goes. But that's a lion coming in. All the wild animals. But yes, we should see some cavalry. I expect. I can see units in queue here, and yeah, we see some cavalry being queued for only boss. At this point, then Mito has got no military production as far as I can see. He's just going around the map, building shrines, being
yeah,
greedy.
yeah, doesn't need any. And so we do have some axe riders, 5 axe riders out on the field. And yeah, honestly, the only thing they can do maybe like pick off the Japanese explorers, but I think it'll be interesting to see if he goes straight for the shrine. I mean, if you send them at the
Yeah.
TC, like you're gonna do literally nothing. You might as well put his villagers in the TC. You can
Hmm.
even call them Minutemen. And it looks like the only boss is going to the town center, but like what? I don't think he's not going to do
Yeah.
anything here unless it might have like mistakes and leaves the villager far out. But
But
he's
he's
on
not.
top of it.
Yeah, he's already garrisoned, and like
Yeah,
these
he
guys seem
cares.
to have decent siege as well. Like he could go kill shrines. I feel like that would be a reasonable thing to
Yeah,
do here.
yeah,
But
um,
he's got 3 TPs as well, like, and by that I mean trading posts, which I guess is kind of helping to even things out a little bit because that's obviously going to give him those extra shipments a little bit earlier, and Maito's sort of forgoing that, and so I suppose that's one thing that he can sort of take advantage of at this point.
yeah. But yeah, I
Oh,
agree. And there we go. There's the Minutemen. These Cav literally. I mean, they killed one villager, but I mean, they did essentially nothing. Kill one build, not cost effective. Meanwhile, Mito was just full booming, like getting very high shrine population, and then shipping 4 villagers, and then shipping 4 villagers again, just max booming.
yeah.
Um, and the only boss, on the other hand, he did ship 700 wood and then 700 coins. So looks like he is going to try to age. It looks like did he make another? No, he didn't make any more units. But I don't know. I don't like how this is looking for the only boss. He's just giving the Japan player so much time with this shrine population. I guess he's the only boss who's going to go for timing, like an H3 timing, but it's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, he might be saving those cards for the H3 cards here. He's got a lot of military in his deck for H3. Obviously, rifle riders in there, dog soldiers in there, Wakina rifles as well. Maybe saving it then for that, as he's pretty close to clicking up right now. Mitoe, a little bit further away from clicking up. Obviously, still investing into economy at the moment. And actually, sorry, apologies. Actually, gone for the best areas here as well as some Yumi archers.
Yeah, but I mean, look at the recalculated economic population.
It's
Mitoe
insane.
is about double the economic population. So, yeah, the only boss is going to have really strong timing. And Mitoe even moving out with his units is really brave, really, really risky. Um, yeah, not pulling them back. I guess he feels okay, but it would be, I don't know, it's definitely a lot safer to just keep these at home, but going to Caesar's Shrine or the
I think
TP.
you can take out the trading post. I think that'd be pretty reasonable. Obviously, it's going to be a slow job, but yeah, the shrine here was under siege for a little bit, but the Sioux player now actually coming forward, building a war hut in the middle of the map, sending those axe riders back out to see if he can maybe find something, while he knows, of course, Mito's armies in the south out of position. But I mean, how does the Sioux sort of approach this? What is he going to do now? He's just reached age 3, and now is the time to do damage. I think he's got a pretty small window, right, before the sheer economy lead of Mitoe is just going to overwhelm him.
Yeah, exactly. Very small window. Sioux can get a very strong army in like early H3 and and get like a very powerful push. And that's what he's definitely gonna be relying on. But yeah, he's definitely got timer on him. He's got to do it pretty soon.
Yeah,
He's
we've
just
got
gonna
more
watch this.
axe riders out, and I'm guessing then he's going to just send his shipments out here to the war hut. As I say, we've looked at his deck already. He's got a lot of military shipments in there. What's the best thing he could send here? Do you think it would be the 9 Wakina rifles at this point?
Maybe the 5 rifle riders. Let's see. Did he just send something?
Oh, he actually went for 5 axe riders. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, at the same time, we're saying Mito's super far ahead economically, but he's also trying to sneak up. He's trying to age up, which could be bad since the only boss is going for this timing. And the Sioux units, they are very very strong, and it could be difficult for Mito to hold. But Mito is getting some. Yeah, I mean, actually, Mito getting more Yumis out. If you look at his army composition, he really doesn't have that much anti-cav, and
It's all
all
Yumi, right?
but unfortunately, the only boss is showing his entire army, sieging down his trading post.
Right, right.
Would be nice, but obviously he's showing that, all of those axe riders, and now Mito's aware, and he's going to get some more anti-cav, obviously.
He will, but he's also sent the Elite Wakina rifles as well. He's got those out, and the Elite Axe Riders now as well. Both upgrades there. So we'll see him now pushing out, and immediately Maito's like, yep, just going to quickly wall this up because don't want to take this fight just yet. Fortress Age is in. Might be able to get the upgrades on his Musketeers before he takes the fight here, but definitely able to stall and use this wall to his advantage for the time being.
Yeah, the only boss, I feel like he really missed his window to attack there. If he, instead of sieging that trading post, if he would have pushed in, he would have honestly like wrecked
Mm.
Mito's army, and he could have been in a much better situation. But I mean, now Mito has walls. He's got a lot of Yumis, and Yumis, everybody knows Yumis are just like really good. Um, and yeah, I don't know. I feel like the only boss kind of missed timing. He does still have a pretty large military, and that Sioux military is very strong. So he's now going to siege shrines. But yeah, I mean, the economic population is obviously a massive difference.
Yeah, and you can siege those shrines pretty quickly now, actually. And I think Maito's still not comfortable enough to really get into a fist fight at this point. I mean, his army is like 90% Yumi archers by the looks of it.
Yeah,
And it doesn't seem to me like that would perform that well against all these elite axe riders. In fact, we've got more axe riders even being queued up at the corral right now. So it's not too bad. I think only boss as well, he's got the TPs, the
oh,
trading posts. Like, do you think he's going to go for all
look at Mito's
5?
walls.
Oh, wow. Look at this.
Yeah,
What is
so
that
my
about?
boss is going to see some more shrines. And yeah, as you said, Mito really doesn't have a whole lot of anti-cav, but you know, some people say that Yumi archers are, once they're upgraded, they just are anti-cav. Yumi
Right,
are
right.
incredibly
Because
strong.
yeah, I know what you mean. It's kind of like, in a sense, in Age of Empires 2, when you have enough crossbows, you can kill knights just because you've got sheer numbers, right?
Right.
And I guess it's a similar concept here if I'm able to draw that, comparison. But, trade monopoly, it's always an option. He's got 5 trade posts now. I don't think that's possible, though, is it, right?
Yeah, there's a lot of trading posts to have all 5. All right, so yeah, oh my god, this Yumi ball archer is just starting to get pretty massive. I mean, there are
Yeah.
lots of Axe Riders, but I mean, yeah, if the Axe Riders could get on the Yumis, they would do a lot of damage. But with all these
Mm.
choke points, Mito putting up walls, now adding a stable, he's just not going to let that happen.
No, and they're disciplined now as well. He's also got the way of the bow, increasing their stats, increasing their range actually, which I guess is actually really valuable when you're up against a lot of cavalry because you can sort of see them coming a little bit earlier, you can hit them earlier, and you can get out a little bit earlier as well. So it's not too bad. Still, obviously, maybe sieging the shrines. It's like second best thing for boss to do. He can't really take a fight. But he is adding another war hut in the middle of the map. And do you think Mito here is thinking, yeah, you know what, let's just go industrial, get some flaming arrows out as well?
Yeah, that is definitely a possibility. Mito just adding more walls. And I don't know, I don't really like this strategy from the only boss. I mean, he knew that Japan was going to be ahead early on economically by a massive amount, and he went for his H3 timing. He didn't even really siege shrines early on. Now he decided to now start sieging shrines, but not push in. You know, so
Mm.
it's a little bit of a strange strategy from the only boss. He did ship 3 dog soldiers, and he will have a dog soldier timing later, so maybe he can make something happen. But Mito, yeah, he's protecting his military really with all out
Yeah.
as well. So
But I think Mito is really just about buying time, right? Like, yeah, I don't know if his army can really win at this point if they fight out in the open, which I think is a big part of the reason why he's building so many walls here, right? Like, just so that he can keep them safe and always withdraw behind and take a better fight. But at this point, it's really getting to be a big unit mass from both players. 92 for Mito, 89 for the only boss, and we've got Naginata riders out from
we might
Mito
have
as
to
well.
engage here. And yeah, both of these civs are really well known for like once they get large masses, their military masses are just incredibly strong. The Sioux army can be incredibly strong, especially with the dog soldier timing, and then obviously the Yumi
Yeah.
archers. Here we go. Might have an engagement. Might have maybe overcommitting,
He's
but
looking for it. He is looking for it. The dog soldiers are in here as well, by the way. The 3 dog soldiers are out, and they are improved with cavalry combat as well. Pretty tanky units, right? 770 health. That's huge.
yeah,
Absolute
those guys are massive.
sponges.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess the nice thing for the Japanese is they don't really need to push out across the map. I mean, once the shrines are up, they can quite happily just sit back with their cherry orchards and gather in their base. But yeah, for now, neither player wanting to take that engagement just yet. They're both a little bit cautious, it seems. And that's a second TC coming up in the north, actually, from Only Boss here.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to try to even up the economic population. Mito looks like he was threatening these war huts, but he also doesn't. He might not want to fight under them, and then all of a sudden, have a big unit pop come out and then get snared and committed to the fight. And meanwhile, Mito just expanding his walls further and further. Just definitely the smartest thing to do. Sioux can really struggle versus walls. I mean, they do have siege stance and all, but
Right. Oh, there's a hole, though. There's always a hole. As you see, just the wall down. This is going to be the fight. Everything's getting stuck in there right now. And
this is
Mike,
here, preventing pathing here for a lot of the axe riders. But here we go, big engagement.
oh my goodness.
Are in hand combat.
And those Ashigaros, by the way, just got close combat, so they've got extra damage versus cavalry. And it looks like most of those axe riders in the front are getting eaten up right now. The dog soldiers at the back, not able to get in there. They're now just coming forward as the Naganatas come in from Mito. Really close fight, actually. Both of them very close on military unit count at the moment. But it looks like Mito might be able to start turning this, as a lot of the cavalry from Only Boss has been taken out right now, and those Yumi archers can go to town on the Wakina rifles.
Yeah, I mean that. Oh, and the Sioux Explorer was not in the fight. That seems kind of huge. Like he boosts your military units, and he also has 1,300 hit points. He was just
Wow.
not right there. So a
He's a
little bit
huge
of a slip
sponge,
up.
essentially, right? But he's nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, a little bit of a slip up there, and yeah, I mean that wall was just massive right there from Mito. Just it prevented the Axe Riders from really getting on the Yuumi. The Yuumi were perfectly behind the rest of Mito's army, just firing
Mm.
away, not even being touched for the longest time.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
And
if you
it's crazy when you know a fight's about to happen and your frame rate just drops. But he really wants to take this now, but this is not going to be a good fight. More elite Axe Riders coming out. Sorry, 4 Axe Riders being sent as a shipment, actually. But the Sioux pretty much exhausting his shipments at this point, and those Naginata Riders just getting buffed up with the increased hit points as well as they work their way forward onto the Wakina Rifles, getting the snare. The Yuumi Archers at the back just cleaning everything up, and there is the GG from the only boss, Mito, steamrolling him at the end there with that massive fight to close out the game.
Yeah, walls are just get Japan.
Get your pants.
Honestly, the biggest counter to Sioux is walls. Walls are the best unit or thing you can make versus Sioux for like every civilization
Mm-hmm.
because Sioux they get so many cavalry and their army is so strong. If they can get on their opponent's military and like really surround them, they can just like demolish their opponent's army. But as you saw, it was pretty much prevented with just that tiny little wall segment, just that small gate. So very good
Yeah.
position from Mito there.
It was really good for Mito, and I mean, it's a shame AoE3 doesn't really have hill bonuses, because that could have actually given the only boss some kind of opportunity to get an advantage there, but it doesn't feel like the best place for him to fight in such a tiny choke point, when really your advantage is trying to catch the Japanese out in the open, I feel, and being able to get your cavalry surrounding them and getting all your cavalry in. A lot of the cavalry from Only Boss was kind of stuck at the back. Those dog soldiers, for example, just sort of stuck out there, unable to get in the fight. And as you mentioned as well, also not having the explorer. I don't know where he is actually.
Yeah,
There he is,
it's
building the TC up at the north, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's unfortunate. And yeah, honestly, that was probably like the worst possible fight the only boss could have took
Mm.
position wise. Because as you see, like that cliff was right there, so that's like a natural barrier. You just obviously can't get around. There's even like berries there to prevent some pathing, and then just that wall segment. So like if that cliff wasn't there, then the only boss would have been able to like very quickly siege down a wall segment, but
Mm.
that wall cliff, really coming in massive, and it just did not allow the only boss to get his units to surround Mito's units.
Yeah, for sure. And that was that. Mito steamrolling away and getting the win in game number 3. It's now going to be match point as we prepare to go into game number 4. Only boss, I mean, I'm sure he's not going to be too disheartened. He put up a good fight. I think that was a tough matchup for him, right? Like, it's very difficult to get out on the map and do damage to the Japanese when they can just sit inside of their base all game.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with that. An interesting matchup. I mean, you can't take a
Yes.
fight there with that positioning. It just
Mm.
it comes down to positioning. Just a really bad spot to. Yeah, I think Mito was talking about it right now in chat a little bit, talking about some chokes there.
Yeah. He's basically saying that,
Yeah.
like, too many chokes on Deccan.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there you have it. So Mito will choose next his first Civ, and only boss will have an opportunity to counter. He can take Sioux again. It's possible for him to pick a Civ that he's played, that he's lost with. It's only once you win with a Civ that you can't pick them for a second time. But I would have liked to see that fight again. I wish we could sort of rewind time and then have that fight out in the open field and see just how that turns out, because I do think the only boss probably had a really good fight there if he could have fought on the open field and not in that choke point.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you're a fan of Game of Thrones, but Sue, do you watch it at all?
I don't. I want to. I've just not gotten the time to get into it yet. All my housemates do. Maybe get Robo out here. He can dive with that.
Yeah, but there's like an army force called like the Dothraki, and they're essentially like the Sioux. They just have like a ton of cavalry, and and like they talk in one of the episodes about like if you ever meet the Dothraki in open field, they'll kill any army, and
Right.
that's essentially Sioux. leaving the army in the open field, they just demolish them.
Yeah, it's a good way to sum it up. You know what, though? It's actually quite crazy how much it lagged in that fight. I mean, this PC that we're streaming on, well, we actually have 2 PCs that we're streaming on, but the one that the game is running on, it's got a RTX 2080 in it, and it still lags. It's brilliant. Just how crazy that lag gets.
Yeah.
Maybe Definitive Edition will fix that. We can only dream, right?
Right, that'd be nice. All right, I'll be right back again and grab some more.
All right, no problem. I'm also going to grab a drink as well, but we're going to see what the Civs are coming up next. Only Boss is going to be picking second. Mitoe will have to pick first for New England. The meme map, as we've seen, seems to be a bit of a controversial map. Some players like it, some players despise it, but neither matches have seen a veto on it, so it can't be that bad, right? Baja California seems to be the most hated map at the moment. I've seen the most vetoes on that by far, but yes, we'll be getting the Civ picks very soon. Only Boss sort of asking, Mitoe, what are you going to pick? Mitoe giving it a good old think, and I'm sure he'll have a pick for us in just a moment. But Hawk Girl in the chat saying that the game makes me feel like Sioux do okay versus Japanese on a more open map. And I think we can all agree with that. Definitely looks like they would have the edge there. Thanks once again to I Will Spank You. Sorry again that it's coming a bit late, but thanks for the gift subs to Keister and to Brooke G. Much appreciated. And keep it going. I mean, this is awesome. We're very slowly and steadily increasing our sub count, and we've got a goal. We've got a target. We really want to try and get to 1,000 subscribers this year. If we can do that, then we'll be in a really good position, because we can really keep doing what we're doing and host more tournaments and try and get more lands going, both in Age of Empires 3 and in Age of Empires 2. So we really appreciate the support. It's awesome.
Yeah, that really is awesome. And obviously, AoE3 community is really appreciative towards you guys for hosting, this tournament and making the first AoE3 LAN tournament in years. So very, very exciting.
Well, honestly, I've been so swayed by AoE3 recently. Maybe a lot of the people in the chat don't know my background, but I'm an AoE2 guy. I've been casting AoE2 for 8 years, and I've rarely played AoE3. I played it when it came out for about a year, and then I stopped, and I've not really looked at it since. And I kind of wish I had, because it's actually so enjoyable to watch. I really, really love watching this game, and it would be awesome if we can sort of bring it some more attention. Maybe we can, sort of grow the community, grow the viewership, and sort of share this game with more people, because I'm really enjoying it. And I know that if I'm enjoying it, then there's a lot of people who play AoE2 who could also enjoy it as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's honestly very strange. Like, looking back, obviously AoE3 is a little bit different than AoE2, but it's so strange how the entire AoE2 community kind of just came together and decided that AoE3 was a horrible game. And I don't know how the hatred really started or why it occurred.
I don't even think it's hatred. I think it's just this sort of I guess it's just dismissed. Right?
Yeah.
It's not like they don't necessarily know how good or bad it might be, because I think it's just been sort of dismissed. AoE2 has always been known as the best one, and so everyone just plays that. But I still love AoE2, don't get me wrong, but I do think AoE3 has a lot of merit. And I think as well, the big thing for me is the spectator UI. That's huge, because you can actually see so much about the game that's happening. You can see the shipment sent, and it makes it so much more understandable as a viewer.
Yeah, definitely. And the funny thing about that is the UI, it's not built in the game. The people that made AoE3 did not make the UI. It's just made by some random guy. I don't know. Azamp, our hero, I don't know if in his basement, just making the UI and literally changing the scene for the entire AoE3 community. Tournaments would not be what they are. The community would not be what it is without this UI and without Azamp. massive.
Definitely. The UI is really is so valuable. It's just amazing to be able to see what's going on. And I think without it, we'd be absolutely lost. And it's the similar story in Age of Empires 2. We've got a UI there as well, which is built by the community for the community. And it's just made the game so much better. And recently there's even a new UI which has been made as well, but we'll talk about that later because I think the players are ready to go. Thank you, Albo, for the 5 gift subs. Really appreciate that, and your long-term support as well. Awesome stuff. Really, really thank you. But we're going to get this next game going. It's going to be Dutch versus French on New England. And, this was going to be match point. Mitoe here looking for the win as the Dutch in game number 4. It's on the only boss here to stop him from advancing and facing Hazza in the round of 16. The only boss going to fight down to the last moment here. What do you think about this matchup? Dutch on New England and then obviously French as well.
Yeah, I really like Dutch here. Dutch is a very strong civ. They they do have shooters too, so they can even get Sioux going. And yeah, Dutch is just a very strong pick all around. Tough to counter, tough to really civ counter. So a really good choice by Mitoe, and French is also a pretty good choice from the only boss. Just a very standard civ. Don't really have the same ability to see boom as Dutch or other civs. So it'll be interesting to see how this one gets played out. I could see the only boss trying to secure the TP line and get like 4 TP stagecoach while Mitoe's building banks at home. So we'll see how it gets played out here.
Yeah, I noticed, like, I can't remember who it was in the chat, but someone was like, Dutch on a 4TP map, lol. It's like, well, I'm not really sure why they're saying that because I'm still newer to the game, but when I do see the Dutch, I do see them playing a lot more passively a lot of the time, building up those 4 banks or so, and giving their opportunity to their opponent to potentially take all these TPs, right?
Right, yeah, that is true. That's a good point, that person made in chat. As Dutch, usually they'll just like get their bank boom going, maybe build like 1 TP. So it does seem like you're probably giving that 4 TP stagecoach up for free potentially. Mitoe may just decide to build some of the TPs just so that the only boss doesn't have all 4, and he has to like siege them down or something. But at the same time, I mean, getting away with a bank boom is just massive with Dutch, and
Right.
they're just a very good like economic civ and good military, just really good all around.
Well, they are a good, economic civ with the banks, but the French have great eco with their couriers as well. So, he's got the early hunting dogs in here, and Mitoe as well has those hunting dogs in. But only boss, like he should be ahead, right, in eco until the banks come out at least.
Yeah, definitely. So let's see. Both players do have a market on the map here. Both of them do have hunting dogs and moving there, looking for some treasures here.
Yeah, it looks like Mitoe here, so far he's grabbed 95 wood and 90 food, whereas the only boss has got the 30 coin, the 40 coin, 60 food, and he's picking up 80 XP as well, giving him a nice little boost to that second shipment there. 3 settlers coming in for Mitoe, pretty expected, and 3 couriers for the only boss. He's treasuring well, actually. He's going to grab 90 coin here as well if Mitoe doesn't get over here to stop it, and I don't think he can.
Yeah, nice little pick up there. Let's see. Mitoe move. Oh, there's that 80 food. I'm not sure if Mitoe's going to go for that.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, the scout, the explorer from only boss is heading the other way, so he might get away with this. But I guess it's always a risk, right? Like, his explorer could rock up and steal it, but you don't know if you don't try. And so he's going to go there, get the crack shot off. But hey, that explorer is really low, and it's not targeting the envoy. Rip.
Oh, wow. That's an unfortunate loss for Mitoe there, losing his explorer.
Yeah, and I'm surprised he typed in the chat, actually, because he might have given something away.
Right.
Right? Like, at this point, the only boss could think, what's going on? Maybe I could do something about this. But at the moment, he's camping out at the TP. Doesn't know exactly what happened. But, man, that's going to be annoying.
Yeah, that could be a pretty big loss for Mitoe. I mean, he may have wanted to build a trade post right now.
Right.
So Not sure what his game plan was, but yeah, he's definitely not going to be able to build a trading post for a bit until that Explorer gets back up. And it just makes it easier for the only boss to secure this TP line and, potentially get this 4 TP stagecoach going.
Yeah, I like that a lot, and looks like he's doing just that now. First bank coming in for Mitoe, and just had a look at the decks real quick. Both have the potential for water. We've got 2 caravels in both decks, and we've got a frigate for the French player, and we've got a frigate and 3 flutes for the Dutch. But no schooners, right? Like, did either of the civs get schooners? I'm not sure.
Dutch does.
Yeah, right. I thought they did. But
He does
maybe
not.
he's not going for water then?
Yeah, he doesn't have like any water upgrades either for like fishing boat wise. He just has the ships in just to ship them to the middle ponds. It looks like, and maybe to
Yeah.
help with map control. So yeah, mainly interesting deck. Not super sea heavy, just has those ships there for fighting later.
Is there like a variety of strats with the Dutch into like how many banks you build?
Yeah, I mean, ideally, you want to like build as many banks as you can get away with, but obviously, the more you build, it's just more of an economic risk. Uh, just risking yourself getting overwhelmed by military. So it depends. We'll see how safe Mito feels. How much he's willing to risk putting up here. As you see, he's building a stable. You also want to open with the stable pretty early. To get some military out. Mito did ship 700 wood here, so it's going to help him add some more banks and get his infrastructure up. Another
Yeah,
bank
we
coming.
see the third bank in the stable now. We see a stable, sorry, from the French as well. So both players going for the stable. Only boss was scouted. We've got a bank wagon also. So that's going to be 4 banks for Mito in the end. And maybe even 5? Can we go to 5?
Yes, and yeah, I know
Yeah.
they changed Dutch recently on RE. It was Dutch got a lot of really drastic changes. They got
Yeah.
changed to the amount of banks that you can build and the XP that banks generate once they're built. So
Mm-hmm.
you get more XP now when you build a bank.
Okay, so
Uh,
it's like a bit of a buff to the Dutch then.
yeah, definitely from the RE version. And Mono does have some villagers very far out that he may be forgetting about. These 5 hussars are moving in for the only boss. And if you find some of these villagers, it could get a pick off. But Mito may be popping some cav out himself here. Yep, and there he goes.
Yeah.
There's 5 hussars from him.
Yep, 5 on 5, equal upgrades, so only boss gonna back away for now. Meanwhile, though, he has secured 2 trading posts and may very well be going for the 3rd and 4th. He's also got 2 couriers in the middle of the map next to his barracks, so it's looking like he's gonna try and keep pushing and keep the pressure on, adding that barracks now. For the moment, he's got more hussars in queue, and can't really afford to use that barracks yet without at least, idling his stable or not finishing his batch. So seems like the focus will be on the hussar for now.
Yeah, and taking a look at text completed, the only bosses have hunting dogs, steel traps, even getting gang saw and also placer mines, while Mito's just sitting with hunting dogs.
Yeah, I see that actually. Quite a lot of eco there. I mean, we do see steel traps now for Mito, but I mean, yes, only boss has done placer mines, but then Mito has 5 banks, so
Yeah.
it's not too bad to not have that, I feel. But he's still poking away with the hussar. It's still 10 hussar each, both very even in that respect. And economy,
Ooh, the only
Mito
boss
is
might get
ahead.
caught here. Do not want to get caught here with potential Minimen joining the fight. He is not pulling back.
Just get back. I guess, I mean, if he did get into that fight, could he go just like for a quick barracks, get the musks out?
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, it does take, obviously, the training time is long. The
True,
Hussars
true.
weren't super close to Mito's town center, but with the possibility of snaring the Hussars and then getting 5 Minutemen into the fight when the Minutemen, train very
Okay.
quickly, yeah, it could very much sway the fight. And there's that native explorer being found, but Mito also looking like he's lose his explorer.
Yep, he's going to get that picked off right there. Some experience, why not? And it looks like we'll see a third TP coming up in just a moment for Only Boss. He's not got these TPs up really quickly, but he has got Stagecoach upgrade. He's slowly working on that. And meanwhile, you know, he's behind in eco here, but he should be way ahead in shipments. Interestingly, with that said, actually Mitoe has the 5th shipment already, and Only Boss seems to be saving his shipments right now because I think he's about to age and he wants to save them for age 3.
Yeah, the Only Boss about to hit age 3 right now. He does have Stagecoach to research, and he's getting ready to build that 4th trading post. So he is going to have that 4 TP Stagecoach, which is going to be very nice. Let's see, might see 1,000 wood coming in for the Only Boss, I would assume. And he's throwing down some walls, so nice thinking about the late game and just preventing raids here.
Yeah, you don't want to get raided too much, right? I mean, he knows the Hussar's out, and if he can, he's taking the hunt on the left side, so closing that seems to be a really sensible approach.
Yeah, definitely. Mitoe is sieging down this barracks now. The Only Boss wants to try to keep it up, just preventing Mitoe from sieging it. Oh, he did one Huss does get caught by a trading post. I think he kind of forcibly hit that trading post and got left behind.
Yeah, Mitoe's up as well. The Fortress Age is about to come in, and we'll see what he sends. He's got a shipment as well. Could be 1,000 wood for him, actually, as well here. But yeah, it's interesting, like, both players have the potential for water, but no one's laming the ponds just yet. Maybe that's something for a bit later on, as the 4th TP comes up, and actually we end up getting 5 Dragoons coming out for Only Boss here. Obviously, he was aware there's a lot of Hussar out. He wants something to deal with that. Dragoons are a very good answer to that problem.
Yeah, I wonder if he was shipping 1,000 wood and then he canceled once he saw, like, the, 20 Hussars. I don't know, because
Potentially, yeah.
would have been really nice. But when he saw all those Hussars, maybe he thought the Dragoons would be better. I don't know if he was shipping 1,000 wood or if he just went straight ahead for the 5 goons right away. But obviously, yeah, 1,000 wood would have been nice.
You're actually seeing another barracks coming up, and we're seeing some skirmishes in queue. We've actually got 9 Reuters coming out as well for Mitoe. Looks like he wants to keep his army like really mobile here, and he's got a really big mass actually, 54 military unit population versus 38, and he's got to be careful because if these, there they go, the skirmishes are going to pop out and they're immediately going to get caught. That's a real problem for the Only Boss. His couriers as well going to get caught out there. He doesn't even bother trying to run them home. He knows they're dead, and meanwhile he's like, well, there's no way I can fight that with what I have right now.
Oh, more skirms getting picked off, and as you saw, the Only Boss's macro was really off, especially if you looked at it just like 30 seconds ago. He had like over 1,000 food, very little gold. Yeah, these skirms are just gonna melt. Minutemen being called. Very poor engage from the Only Boss here.
Yeah, he's bringing in his Dragoons and Hussar now, though, but it's just a little bit late to fight, and, you know, half his army's already died. His TC is firing back. He does have the Minutemen as well. We'll see what he can do here. He's trying to focus down the Hussars, of course, with the Dragoons here. But, boy, there's Reuters doing a really good job.
Yeah, Hussars are now on the Dragoons, snaring them. Roos are trying to catch up. Roos are also snared back a little. Sorry. Trying to get into the fight, yeah, some skirmishes joining the fight. So
that's not bad.
Yeah, cleaning this up. There are some Hussars sieging TP now joining the fight, and yeah, it looks like Mitoe just has a bit more here.
Yeah, he does a lot more mass and a bit more eco to keep this going as well. Only Boss really doesn't want to call it yet, but it's looking pretty rough. He does have more Dragoons in queue. And it looks like there's more Reuters on the way as well from Mr. Mitoe here. So it's Reuters on Dragoons at this point. I mean, how does that play out? I feel like the Reuters should be better, right? As they're the sort of stronger Dutch unit. But, you know, stats-wise, they don't stack up, but obviously they're cheaper.
Yeah, the Dragoons are superior. And it's unfortunate that the Only Boss, he really seemed to get a lot of units made like after that fight started. You know, like he really got caught out of position. He did not want to fight at that time. He wasn't able to fix his macro in time. And if you looked, when he shipped those 5 Dragoons, his population, he was at like 70 of like 70. Like he really needed wood to build a house and even build like another military building. With shipping those 5 Dragoons just really messed up his macro. And here's a lot of skirms popping out, but they're away from the Dragoons. Hussars are now going to get onto these skirms, and Dragoons a little bit out of position again. Dragon's
Ah,
kind of joining the fight here, but yeah, these skirmishes are really getting caught up.
yeah, this kind of hurts to see this because I think only boss here, he's having this problem over and over again. Like, he's just taking these sort of poorer military engagements, and his army is often not together, and he's sort of getting caught out as a result of that. At this, while that fight was starting, he was over on the left side trying to pick off those villagers, and then it just meant that Mitoe could take advantage of that and easily clean it up.
Yeah, definitely. Especially when you're the one training the units, you can see, where your skirmishers are in queue and when they're going to be created. But
Hmm.
obviously, there's so much to pay attention to. The only boss slipped up a little bit and should have been aware that his skirmishers were about to get made, and you need your goons over there to protect them. So yeah, definitely getting caught out of position again there a bit.
Now we've got Kuroshés out now. How do you feel they're going to perform? I mean, there's a lot of Reuters out, right? I mean, that's surely not necessarily a good decision going into this.
Yeah, I mean, the only boss is military population graph. I mean, you just look at that; he's behind quite a bit in just military population. So the Reuters, they can be really good. There's not like a ton of, or the Crusaders can be really good, as there's not a ton of Reuters.
Okay.
But just the military population difference is just too much, really,
Yeah.
at this moment.
And I think we're going to see there it is, the three Dutch Floyds coming in as well into that forward pond. Just spotted that flag there, and that's going to be annoying. Any of those units getting too close, too bad. That hunt, too bad. It's now being denied by these Dutch warships.
Yeah, and Mito just taking bigger advantage here, really getting map control, now getting this TP line. Mito's just playing it safe. He doesn't, want to risk losing. It's a tournament series, obviously, so he's going to play it safe, play it smart, just continue to increase his advantage here.
I'm actually really surprised he's ahead in shipments as well. Like, I didn't think that would be possible.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. Well, I guess so much XP units.
Yeah.
And once the only boss upgraded his trading post to stagecoach, then you put the trading post on to generate resources and not XP.
Yeah,
Um,
right. I see. I see.
but that is very true. Obviously, the only boss did have like those 4 TPs for a bit before the stagecoach kicked in.
Oh man, the Floyd getting picks on these units as they run past. It's so annoying to have to deal with that. And wow, there you go. He calls GG. I thought we might see a last fight, but I think Mitoe there going through one by one, killing off those trade posts, showing just how big his army was. And at that point, only boss, he just trained a bunch of Kuroshés. He wanted to look for an engagement, but I guess getting picked off by those Floyds just kind of annoying. And he realizes he's just too far behind and too far away.
Yeah, it was a good series here. Boss looking pretty strong, obviously. So it is a double elimination tournament, so he will move on to the losers bracket and have the opportunity to do some damage there, and still continue to progress in the tournament. And Mito, of course, moving forward in the winners bracket.
Yep, Mitoe obviously does drop one game, but he does end up winning the series 3-1. He did look strong throughout, but only boss, I think he played well. I mean, considering that this is Mitoe here we're talking about, top 8 player, I think he put up a really good fight, considering that most people probably really didn't expect to see much from him here.
Yeah, definitely agree. Pretty strong showing from the only boss, getting his name out there a bit more, and it's always nice when you play on stream in front of a big audience, especially with you guys streaming. So a lot of viewers are able to see the strength and power from the only boss here.
Yeah, definitely. A really enjoyable series, actually. I'm liking this. I'm enjoying this so much. It's great. And I hope
Yeah.
everyone in the chat is also enjoying and watching the series. But there's the little overview for you. Mitoe winning game 1 on Pampas Sierras as in a British mirror. Game 2 was Kamchatka, which the only boss manages to pick up his only victory of the series. And then that was followed up by Mitoe winning Deccan and New England with Japanese and then the Dutch. Good series though, and nice to see that neither series was just a clean sweep. Everyone put up a good fight, and looking forward to seeing more, of course. But with that, Mitoe will go forward and face Hazza in the round of 16. That should be an awesome match to look forward to. How do you think that's going to go? What's your predictions about that one?
Oh, Mito and Hezzy, you said?
Yeah, Mito and Haza.
Oh man, yeah, those are two titans right there battling it out. That's gonna be a very good one. Actually, interesting that you bring that up. I remember I was talking to my brother, Soldier, recently, and
Yeah.
they're talking about this exact matchup actually. And I believe he was saying that Mito and Haza they met in one of the last tournaments, and Haza actually beat him. I think like 4-1, like a pretty
Oh wow.
convincing. Yeah,
Okay.
and at that point it was like a really big upset. I mean, I think Haza was pretty well known at that point as being a real strong player, but it was still Mito. So yeah, to see Haza take out Mito was a surprise and just showed how good Haza is.
Yeah,
Um,
we'll see if he can do it again. And since Haza's in the UK, it would be awesome to have him at the studio at some point. We want to make that happen eventually. I know he's very busy with work and life and things, but if we can get him over to the studio to cast, that would be awesome.